Leaders of the Americas have called for coordinated steps to tackle the financial crisis now gripping much of the world, and they made the call on Saturday at the 5th Summit of the Americas in Port of Spain, the capital of Trinidad and Tobago. Many Latin American countries are expressing their hopes that the United States should cooperate with them in tackling economic problems. Qi Tianxin reports.
At a plenary session of the summit, the leaders exchanged views on the summit's theme of human prosperity. U.S. President Barack Obama stressed that Washington's message was to move out of the financial crisis to global economic growth. He said that means shared prosperity and equal partnership, and also investing in education and healthcare, as well as increased shared progress both within the United States and with regard to its foreign policy. But other leaders were expecting more from the U.S.
The
U.S. doesn't give responses to the global economic crisis, despite the fact that this constitutes the greatest challenge humanity has faced in decades, and the most serious threat in our time for the well-being of our people.
Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper warned against resorting to protectionism. He also promised to help increase the Inter-American Development Bank's lending by about $4 million. And Brazilian President Luiz Lula da Silva says universal involvement by the global community is necessary to combat economic woes. He says the solution to the crisis cannot be solved by only the major industrialized countries or even the Group of 20. Qi Tianxin, CCTV.
Well, economic issues are a hot topic at the 5th Summit of the Americas, especially at this time of the situation. And for all the latest, we have correspondent Yang Fuqing online. Hello, Fuqing. The Summit of the Americas has wrapped up its second day of meetings. Have the participants at the summit been able to achieve consensus on any concrete measures in terms of economic cooperation?
Well, Dongling, as the 5th Summit of the Americas entered its second day, attention was mainly focused on the most pressing issue confronting the Americas, that is, economic crisis. Meeting behind closed doors, heads of government from the 34 countries discussed ways to revive their economies, preserve trade, and prevent fallout from the worldwide financial crisis. Other issues such as energy security and environmental sustainability were also discussed. Although no concrete measures were announced yet, U.S. President Barack Obama did promise to set up a regional growth fund and initiate a partnership to develop alternative energy and fight global warming. Obama's top economic advisor, Lawrence Summers, says the gathering comes at a critical juncture. He said that all leaders recognize the gravity of the situation and the perils to the societies if the economic downturn continues unabated. With that in mind, the Obama administration announced a program to boost credit availability for micro businesses in the hemisphere to promote growth from the bottom up. In addition, Summers said President Obama has spoken out against protectionism in the Americas. At Friday's opening ceremony, several leaders placed blame for the financial crisis squarely on the United States. Summers said a day later, leaders focused more on productive courses of action than assigning fault. Even so, Bolivian President Evo Morales spoke against the economic policies the United States has long advocated in the hemisphere. Mr. Morales said, unless economic policies are changed, prosperity cannot be guaranteed. He said Bolivia has moved away from the neoliberal economic model of privatization that has not produced results. The summit has been overshadowed by issues surrounding Cuba, the only nation not represented at the summit, and the decades-old U.S. embargo of the country. A final declaration expected to be signed as the summit closes tomorrow. Dongning.
Well, then how would you describe the economic development in the region now? Because we know that Latin American countries have been hit hard, like elsewhere in the world, by the global economic recession. And also, can you tell us about the evolving economic ties between Latin America and the U.S.?
Well, Latin America was traditionally seen as the backyard of the United States due to its geographic proximity with the U.S. And U.S. influences, both political and economic, have been strong. In fact, the economies of the United States and its southern neighbors are very much interdependent. And that's why the effect of the financial crisis were quickly felt in Latin America. Due to mainly the contracting U.S. imports, tourism, and FDI, Latin America's economy is experiencing a major downturn. Some countries have even seen a negative growth rate. Major stock markets in the region are tumbling, unemployment skyrocketing. Within only 1 month after the crisis hit, the top 100 companies in Latin America suffered losses of up to $663 billion US. Well, in a sense, the fifth summit couldn't have come at a better time as countries are seeking concerted effort to deal with the crisis. And Obama's initiative to better relations with Latin America also fits into the general mood, and it's only natural for Latin American countries to look to the U.S. for concrete solutions. Dongning.
All right, thank you very much. That was Yang Fuqing, our CCTV correspondent, reporting from the Summit of the Americas in Trinidad and Tobago. The U.S. will launch a $100 million small loan fund to help small business in the West Hemisphere. And President Barack Obama says the Treasury Department has brought together key U.S. and multilateral institutions and identified investors. The project, called the Microfinance Growth Fund for the Western Hemisphere, will be based in the U.S. city of Delaware. Its initial capital includes $20 million in equity and $80 billion in debt, pending approval from the board of each partner. Well, the Summit of the Americas was created in 1994 to discuss the creation of an American free trade zone. 34 American countries reached an agreement to begin negotiations on a free trade zone. Cuba was not present, and due to the differences between the U.S. and Brazil and Argentina, negotiations were suspended in 2003. And in November 2005, at the fourth summit, U.S. President George W. Bush called for reopening negotiations, but leaders from North and South America remained at odds. From 2003 to 2007, the countries in the Western Hemisphere saw rather good economic growth, with GDP growth per capita posted at 3%. But due to the financial crisis, this year's growth is expected to fall to a negative 0.3%. This is Biz China on CCTV International. We're heading for a short break now.